Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are doing well. So if you are new to my channel, my name is Arnabi. I am working in a FAANG company as a SDE. So you know that I am taking mock interview in TopMed currently, and I have seen that some of the mistakes, some common mistakes you are doing. So I thought, why not come up with a new series where I will invite some people who are currently working in the product based company, and they will come to my channel. I will be the interviewer. I will give them one question and they will try to solve it, and here we will record this session and it will be a demo mock interview for you. So whenever you are preparing for your mock interview, or even though you are dreaming to land up in a product based company and you are not sure like how to handle the question, how to answer that time, this video is surely going to help you. So I will come up with some videos like this. Hope you will enjoy and you will learn a lot of things, especially the do's and don'ts you should do and should not do in time of interview. These things is surely going to help you. So without wasting any time, let's start. And if you are liking this, please let me know in the comment section. Also, if you are new to my channel, please do consider to subscribe. Thank you. Let's start. Hi Devjit, how are you?
Hi Arnabi, I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm also good. So would you like to introduce yourself to my viewers?
Yeah, definitely. So, my name is Devjit Ganguly, and me and Arnabi have studied in the same college, and we worked at Infosys for 2 years. Now, again, we are working at Amazon. So, she joined 2 months before me. So, I've been at Amazon for 1 month now, and I'm working as a SD1. So, yeah, that is mostly about me. Other than that, I'm a cricket fan, huge fan of cricket. Eagerly waiting for the India Pakistan match. Yeah, I think that's it from my side.
Okay, so here I have mainly called you for this mock interview round. So are you ready for that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we can go ahead.
Okay, so I will quickly paste the question and then I will explain.
Sure.
So here is the question.
Yes, okay. I can
Yeah,
see.
let me just minimize it.
Sure. Yeah.
So you will be given one matrix, an binary matrix, and there will be only 0 and 1, and you need to change the entire row and column of the matrix whenever you will get a 0 at any cell. So I will give you some example so that it will be good for you to understand the question more. So I will give you 2 examples. Yeah, so the first example here you can see the second row and second column. The 0 in the second row and second column there is present. So here you need to make the second row and second column 0. Now example 2, if you go there, you can see here 0 is present in the first row, second column, and second row, second column. So the first row, first column, and the second column, both are, you need to make it 0. So what will be like your approach and how you will be doing?
Sure, okay. Okay. So the matrix will only consist of either 0 or 1.
Yes, it's a binary matrix.
It's a binary matrix. Okay. Sure. So we only need to consider the zeros which are already there in the beginning of the array. I mean the matrix, and basically not the end. So basically we have zeros here in the first column, but since we don't have 0 in the first column in the beginning of the matrix, so we don't need to consider that. So we only need to consider the initial values and not the ending values.
Can you elaborate that point, like initial and ending value, what you are saying?
So yeah, let's say we have a 0 in the first row. In example 2, we have
Yes.
0 in first row, second column. So we are setting the whole row to zeros.
Yes.
Now since this, now first row, first column is also 0. But since this was initially not 0, so we are not setting the first column to 0.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, okay, that is what I wanted to clarify. Okay. So I think I have a brute force approach in mind.
Yes.
So I think the most simple approach to this problem would be we can create a new matrix,
Yes.
entirely new matrix, and we can go through every element in this the matrix which we are given. And if it is 0, if any of the elements are 0, then in our new matrix, for that row and for that column, we can set all the elements to 0. And we have to
Yes.
do this for basically all the elements in the matrix. And before we start with that, in the new matrix, we can set all the elements to 1. So whichever are set to 0 through the process will be 0 and the others will remain as 1.
Yes.
Or we
So
can do the, yeah,
yeah. So
go ahead.
what will be the time complexity and space complexity for that?
So yeah, for each of the, we are going through each of the elements.
Yes.
So n into m, and for each element, if it is a 0, worst case we have to go through the row and the column. So n plus m, so n into m into n plus m will be the time complexity. And space, since we are creating a new matrix, we just need n into m space.
Yes. So can you further optimize it?
Sure. So
Or can you give a in-place solution where you don't need to create another matrix, try to modify in the same matrix?
I think so for this problem, I think we just need to, like, the information that we need while changing the matrices, which rows and which columns basically have a 0. So later when we have that information, we can just go through the matrix and I think we can change those to 0, whichever, if the row or the column has a 0. So I think if we have a, if we have two arrays, let's say,
Yes.
one for the rows and one for the columns, and let's say we are going through the example 1 and we
Yes.
find 0 in the second row, second column. So for that two arrays, we can set that, okay, second row has 0. So we'll set that to true. And for the second column as well, we'll set it to true. Then when we will again go through for the second time, we'll check that, okay, if the, let's say for the first row, second column. So either the first row needs to
Can
be
you
true
just
or the
write it?
second.
It will be like more visually good. Just
Sure, yeah.
write for the second, first example.
Should I?
Yeah, I
Sure,
can.
sure, sure. Just a second. So let's
Like,
say, just use the size a little bit. Okay. So let's say we have, for the first example only, I'm showing. So
yes,
it's
yes,
a 3 into 3. So we'll declare two arrays, let's say, and both of them will be, first will be the size of the row, which is also 3, and
yes,
second will be size of column, let's say.
yes,
So when we are going through the matrix, whenever we get a 0, we'll set the specific row in the row array and specific column in the column array to true. So in our example, let's say the second row, second column is 0.
yes,
So we'll set this to true and this to true. Now we
yes,
don't have any other. So for the second iteration, when we are going through to change the value, here, let's say we are at first row, second column, which is a
yes,
1. So we will check here whether the first row has a 0 or the second column has a 0. Now we can see that the first row is false. but the second column is true. So we'll set it to 0. Basically, we'll do this for all of them, and accordingly, it will set them to zeros.
Yes. So what will be the time complexity and space complexity for this particular approach?
So we are going through the matrix twice. So it should be n to m.
Yes.
And the space complexity will be n plus m, since we have two arrays of size n and size m.
Yes.
So space complexity should be n plus m. Yeah,
Okay.
we don't need any extra.
Yeah. So can we further optimize it? Like this m plus n space we are using, can we not use this extra space even for like higher values of m and n? We will need a lot of space in that case.
Exactly. So yeah, I think in our matrix, we have many rows and columns. So instead of using a second array, maybe we can use the first row for storing the information for the rows, and we can use the first column to store the information for the columns. So basically, we can set them to 0. Like, let's say if a 0 is present, we set that. Okay, let me explain it like this.
Yeah, with a diagram will be more helpful.
Let's say we have 1 1 1 1. On to the next page, just a second. Okay, so
Yes.
let's say we'll use the first row and first column to store the information.
Okay.
So when we are getting to this 0, we'll
Yes.
set the first row for that specific column to 0, and the first column for that specific row to 0.
Okay. And then?
And this will do this for every zeros in the matrix. And for the second time, when we are doing a second iteration, we'll check, instead of what we were doing here, like checking in the array, we'll just check if the first row of that first row and particular column of that element is 0. If it is, we can set it to 0. Otherwise, we keep it as 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Just a second. We have, yeah. I think, yeah, that should work.
Okay. And what if the first row and first column itself has a 0? Like if you go to the second example.
Exactly, yeah. For this one. So yeah, we can keep two variables.
Yes.
To say whether the first row and the first column are zeros, if they contain any zeros. So we will do that one first before doing any iteration. So we'll just go through the first row and the first column, and we'll say, okay, if there is a 0, we set it to true. Otherwise, we can keep the booleans as false. And when we are going to the second iteration, if like we can do it, if the first row had a 0, then we'll set the whole row to 0. And if the first column had any 0, we can set the whole row to 0. But we need to do that after after we have already set the other values to 0, because otherwise when all the elements in first row and first column are 0, so it will set everything else to 0 too.
Yes.
We have to do that at the end.
Yes. So what will be now the space complexity and time complexity? Like mostly it's optimized version, the most optimized one.
So yeah, time complexity should still be n into m, but the space complexity should be O of 1, because we are not using any extra storage other than the two Boolean variables. So those should be constant as well.
Yes.
So yeah, it should be O of 1 or constant space.
So can you quickly write the code and just write run for one of the example, maybe for the second example?
Yeah, definitely.
So you
Just
will be using which language?
oh, so yeah, I'll be coding in Java.
Okay, you can just
So
do
should I
like,
just write I'm just writing
yeah,
the
just
function,
think
right?
about that it's in a function that taking the matrix as input, and then you just need to change it in place. So no need to return
In place. So,
return anything. Yeah, in place change.
so naming it as solve.
Yes.
Or okay, let's give it a meaningful name filled with zeros. Int matrix. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Okay. So we need two Boolean variables first of all to check to keep a track of if the first row has a zero. So let's say first row 0 is we're setting it to false initially,
Yeah.
and first column 0, both will set it to false. Int. Okay. Let's get the row and the column sizes into a array. I mean, sorry, into a
In a
variable,
variable.
so that we have to find it every time. We'll just use this as the for loop variables. So for the first row, when we have to check, so we go through all the columns. So let's say if matrix of 0, so first row,
Yes.
and that column is 0, then we set first row 0 is equal to true. And in our for loop we can include a condition so that if first row 0 is already true, we don't have to go through the rest of it, and
Yeah.
it exits the loop. And we'll do the same thing for the first column as well. We'll go through the rows and we'll just check if any of the values is 0. So if matrix of r comma 0 is 0, so we'll keep it as first column 0 is alright. So now we need to go through the rest of the array, I mean rest of the matrix. So we'll just start from 1 since the first row is already accounted for. We don't need to go through it again. We'll start from 1 for both column and row. So now, yeah, we check if the matrix of r comma c is 0. If it is 0, we'll set the first row of that column to 0, and the first column of that to 0 as well.
Yes.
So now we'll go through the array again, I mean the matrix, and this time we'll just check if the corresponding first row or first column value is 0, and if it is, we'll set it to 0. Let's say if matrix of r comma 0 is equal to 0, or matrix of 0 comma C is equal to 0. Then we'll set matrix of R comma C to 0. And we're just doing this for the all the rows and columns except the first one, because we'll need to use the information in first row 0 and first column 0 to set those basically 0. So yeah, less than column. So I'll just add the condition here. If first row is 0, we'll go through the for loop, otherwise it will break up on its own. So matrix of 0 comma C is, so we'll set it to 0, not true. And same thing for the row. I'll just copy it from here. I already have it. So yeah, I'm just copying this one. We already have most of it. So yeah, this up to here, and we're setting it to 0. This is not needed. And I think, yeah, that should be it. Let me do a dry run and check this. So let's take the first example.
Yeah, or you can directly run for the second example, dry run for the second one, because it will cover the both of the cases.
Yeah, okay, cool enough. So let's say for this case. So whenever, okay, so first of all, first row 0 will be set to true because first row has a 0 here.
Yes.
And first column 0 will be false since we don't have a 0 in the first column.
Yes.
Next, we'll go through the basically the elements in the matrix, and whenever it's a 0, so we set 0 comma C and R comma 0, so basically the corresponding row and column. So let's say for this one, so for this one, this is already the first row, so we don't like this will, so this is not required, like we won't be iterating this one, we will only iterate this one. Okay, so when we are at this, then just a second, yeah, so we'll set the first row and second column to 0, so this one will be set to 0, and basically the first row second column, which is already 0.
And first column, second row will be 0.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now we'll just go through the array again. I mean the matrix, I'm mistaking the matrix for an array. So yeah, we'll go through this again. So for this one, let's say we'll go through only the, like all the elements except for the first row and the first column. So we are at this, let's say second row, second column. So for this, both of them are 0.
Yes.
Like the corresponding first row and first column, but it is already set to 0. Now we come to the second row and second column. Now for this one, its corresponding first column value is set to 0.
Yes.
We'll set it to 0. And okay, now we come to this one, which is the second row.
Second
Sorry,
column.
third
Third row, second column.
row, second column. So
Yes.
for this as well, the first row is 0. So we are setting this one to 0. And for the last one, we don't have any here.
Yes.
So yeah, this one first row and first column both are 1. So we don't have to change this. Now we come back to the first row 0 and first column 0. So first column 0 was false, only first row 0 was there. So we'll just set this to 0 and this to 0.
Yes. And we get the answer we want.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the like most optimized approach, and like you have come with the most efficient solution. So thank you, Devjit, for coming in my channel and giving this mock interview. So how was your experience?
It was a great experience, and certainly looking forward to another mock interview like this.
Yes.
And hope your audience enjoys this. And if they want more, we can, come up with
Yes.
another one.
Yes. So again, I want to end this call with thanking you for coming, and also all the best for your journey. You just joined Amazon, so a lot of things to explore. So thank
Yeah.
you.